From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight.
Hello and welcome. I am Olumide Macaulay. Tonight, more deadly bomb attacks from Boko Haram. Over 40 people killed in Nigeria's border with Chad Republic by the militant sect. Trial of leader of movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta men, Mr. Henry Okah, resumes this week in South Africa. FCT minister insists on maintenance of master plan for Nigeria's capital city, warns against abuse of Abuja's architecture, and suicide bomber kills 45 people at a volleyball tournament in Afghanistan. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with another tragic incident orchestrated by the militant sect Boko Haram. There's been reports of massive killings and burning of villages around the Nigerian border with Chad. Over 40 fishermen are said to have been killed this weekend by the group. Eyewitness accounts say about 48 people have died in the attack. Scores of Boko Haram fighters reportedly blocked a route linking Nigeria and Chad near the fishing village of Dorumbaga on the shores of Lake Chad and killed the fish traders who were on their way to Chad to purchase fish. Another eyewitness told AFP news agency that Boko Haram slit the throats of some of the men and tied their hands and legs before throwing them into the lake to drown. News of this attack was slow to emerge due to the destruction of mobile phone towers in the area by Boko Haram. And for the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Abubakar Sa'ad IV, these attacks by Boko Haram are not only condemnable but must stop henceforth. The Sultan, who spoke through the Secretary General of Jamaatul Nasril Islam, Dr. Khalid Abubakar, told newsmen at a press conference today in Kaduna that the deadly attacks have drastically depleted the economy of the Northeast and that there is a need for the military to step up its actions and restore peace quickly.
Does the government really have the capacity, commitment and sincerity to bring an end to this insurgency and the multifarious security challenges facing the nation, as has been done painfully in previous cases? JNI President General and the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, condemns these unabated acts of terror being unleashed on innocent citizens, most of whom are Muslims, and calls for concerted introspection and sincere commitment by government to take proactive and effective measures in addressing this precarious problem. The government should, as a matter of urgency, ensure that the security forces get all that they need for effective operations and that they serve diligently as soldiers should. In addition, all culprits must be apprehended and brought to justice, thus giving effect to the laws of the land and deterring others. As an ameliorating measure, the funds collected following the launching of the Victim Support Fund should be supplemented with government grants and judiciously utilized with dispatch in order to ensure that all necessary support reaches the affected victims and that destroyed infrastructures are rehabilitated.
In other news, South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal will on Wednesday this week hear the appeal of Mr. Henry Okah regarding the jurisdiction of a South African court to try him in the first place. Judge Niels Claassen of the South Gauteng High Court sentenced the leader of the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta men to 24 years in prison early last year. Mr. Okah was convicted on a 13-count charge of terrorism related to the bombings at the Eagle Square in Abuja and Warri in 2010. In November 2013, he failed in his bid to appeal against the merits of the case, but was granted leave against certain aspects. Politics now. Ahead of the People's Democratic Party primaries scheduled for December, aspirants vying for governorship tickets in the 7 states under the Northwest Zone have been screened. The screening committee, led by the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Steve Uru, conducted the exercise at the party's zonal secretariat in Kaduna. The process involved all the aspirants from Kaduna, Katsina, Kebbi, Kano, Jigawa, Sokoto, and Zamfara states.
The presence of heavily armed policemen around the PDP secretariat in Kaduna is a clear indication of the seriousness of the business to be conducted. Among the aspirants to be screened is Kaduna State Governor Mukhtar Yero, who arrives at the secretariat under heavy security. The list also includes the deputy governors of Sokoto and Kebbi states. Some of the aspirants address questions about their eligibility.
How could I have been a pensioner if I no retire? So all that is just a political malice and mischief. And you can see that I have my certificate. So if that story was true, I wouldn't have gotten my certificate. So all that is, you expect all these insinuations, mischief, political propaganda in terms of this nature. It's all part of politics.
I served the former governor for 5 years, and I also served this governor for 8 years. So I served for 13 years as chief of staff. And being the heart of the flower, I think I know what is supposed to be done.
While the screening committee is doing its work inside, supporters of the various candidates remain outside the locked gates chanting vigorously. The chairman of the committee later briefs the media about how the process was conducted.
We were given a mandate to make requests for certain original documents from all aspirants, including tax clearance, educational certificates. We've done our best as humanly possible to be free, fair, just, and very transparent.
The successfully screened aspirants also fancy their chances at the polls.
Everybody knows that one of the cardinal responsibility that we put as the best priority or the first priority that we have is the issue of security for lives and property and peaceful coexistence, and then issue of education, and then the other infrastructure. So we'll continue from what we are doing so that the people of Kaduna State will enjoy the benefit.
I have a track record of service to this country, being a minister of water resources for almost 7 years, with a wonderful record which the press in this country know very much about, which Nigerians know very much about. If you want to follow me even in Kaduna State, I'll show you many, many projects that I have done for which I'm very happy with, and that the people are enjoying them and so on. The Caribou Dam is one of them.
My chances are extremely very bright. I know what I'm doing, I know what I have done, and I know the pulse of the people of Kaduna State, and therefore I have no fear of anything.
Among this lot will be the victorious and the vanquished come December, but the real test for the victors will be the governorship elections proper in 2015.
Affairs of State. For Constitution amendments to be conclusive, the state houses of assembly must agree with the National Assembly propositions. And it's in compliance with this that the state assemblies are discussing the key aspects of the Constitution amendment, which is on local government autonomy, police reform, and electoral matters. To ensure that the alteration of the Constitution is thoroughly carried out, the civil society groups brought together the speakers and principal officers to discuss the best ways to consider the Fourth Amendment Bill before them. Our correspondent Chukwuma Onekusi, who covered the event in Abuja.
Efforts to amend the 1999 Constitution made some breakthrough last month when the National Assembly transmitted the harmonized version of the amendment bill to state houses assemblies for their deliberations and resolutions. At this gathering of state legislators, organizers believe the forum will provide them the opportunity to discuss recommendations and the importance of the bill.
This brings together all the speakers of the state houses of assembly to discuss how to proceed with the fourth alteration bill to the Constitution that is now before the state houses of assembly. Also provide an opportunity of interaction between the speakers, the principal officers of the state house of assembly, and civil society groups that have been following with the process of amendment of the Constitution. So really it's an enlightening session, but also a session of engagement between speakers and civil society.
Some of the issues highlighted in the amended bill by the 7th National Assembly include local government autonomy, police reforms, and electoral matters. State lawmakers say these issues are crucial for democracy to thrive.
You will never find development in a local government the way it is today, except there is absolute autonomy for the local government where responsibility will be given to them, and then that's when you can determine the performance of a local government. As it is today, too much burden has been placed on the local government, whereas they have less money, less funds to execute a proper development for our people. So I support it. I support the attrition, and it's a welcome development for this country.
We are talking about strengthening institutions. The institution in our constitution, we have clear separation of powers, and it will not be in tune with the very fine lines of the constitution that we are still going cap in hand to borrow, to beg from another arm of government. So it's not a debatable issue.
With about 6 months to the end of the current political dispensation, it is the view of civil society groups that state legislators make quick their resolutions and the bill passed into law. Chukuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, the Minister of the FCT tells residents to adhere to the Abuja Master Plan. That's in a moment. Stay with us.